Welcome back to Make It Mondays, and this week I'm starting a new blanket. This will hopefully be the last blanket out of this particular set of yarn. So you may have seen extraordinarily similar blankets to this in the past on this channel, but I'm doing another baby blanket out of white and pink. I believe the last one I did out of pink, it was pink and gray. So this is the last couple of skeins from that donation. So the donation in total is going to make 3 blankets. And just like the others, I'm starting with a log cabin in the center and working out. So I will get flipped around to remind you all how it gets started. So as a reminder, when I work with this really thin baby yarn, I tend not to work in singles, I work in doubles. So it is 2 strands of yarn at any given time. So I'm going to make my slip knot. Then I'm taking my size 9 needles. So you can't go off of the size on the ball band. That's recommended. You actually do have to go up quite a few sizes. I believe I'm going from a size 6 up to a size 9. I'd have to double check the ball band to see if that's accurate. But then take both working ends. And I'm doing a cable cast on, so I'm knitting as I normally would and putting it over. Then I'm knitting into the stitch that I just made. So it's not quite a true cable cast on, but I don't remember what this one is officially called. So the biggest downside with working with doubles is that you have to keep track of both strands, so that all of the stitches are the exact same size. So 2, 4, 6, 7, and that's as many stitches as I'm starting with. So knitting on the first stitch to lock it in. That will be the only first row knit or only first stitch knit that I do in the entire project. The rest of them will be slipping that first stitch and knitting across. There is no purling in this entire blanket. It is all knits and decreases and increase. Knits, decreases, and picking up stitches, and that is it. There's no increases, there's no yarn overs, there's no purling, which makes it great for the reason I'm doing this blanket again right now. I have 4 shows in progress, various stages of progress, that all go into Tech Week, one after another, with maybe a week in between on some of them. But this is a great project for me to work on in the dark, in a theater, when I have downtime because my department is not actively being used, but I need to be there in case something breaks. For the majority of these shows, I do not have to be there starting on opening night on. I'm just there for moving into the theater and going through the tech and dress process. So hopefully I will be able to check back in prior to the first one going into tech, prior to the second one going into tech. There's about 3 days break in between the first one and the second one. And there's about a week break between the second one and the third one. And I don't remember the timeline between 3 and 4. So I will try to check back in between each project to let you know how far it's gotten, because as I've stated, this is the 3rd blanket of this style on this channel. If you really want a step-by-step closer to tutorial, please go check those out. They've all been done within the last 18 months. And yeah, so I will be back in a little bit to show you how far I've gotten before the first show loads in. And here we are right before my first tech. So I have the equivalent of 4 3/4 squares done, and I go into tech for the first show tonight, and we will see how far I get. I'm not expecting a whole lot of time to work on this during tech, but we will see, and I will check back in between this one and the next one. I only have a couple days in between, so I will try to record something in between. And the next one also, there's not a whole lot of time for me to be working on it. But again, we will see what actually happens and be back in a bit. So first show is done, and I have the full width on top, and I am most of the way down this next piece that I need to work on before I get back to doing the mitered squares. So I've got another show starting tonight, and this one runs for about a week, so we'll see how much farther I get in the next week. Be back soon. So I've made it past my last show, and it went off pretty much without a hitch. And between that and now, so I've had a couple extra days off, I have made it so that the blanket is pretty far along. I did run out of, or I'm going to run out of pink yarn. So I had to do an extra white square, and then there's going to be extra pink and white in that area and this area. So I do have roughly 4 more squares to go. So I don't think we're going to make it to show 4, but we are finishing up on we are heading into show 3, and I think this will be done in relatively quickly, and I will be back next time when it's all the way done. And here is the finished blanket. It is 4 squares by 5 squares, so 40 inches by 50 inches, and used up almost all of the remaining yarn that I had of this small pink and white baby yarn. It didn't even take me to show 4 of the year, so we're not to opening day of show 4, or I'm not. It will be once this posts. So I guess it's time for me to find a new blanket to work on in rehearsals for the next couple shows. So I will, well, if you made it this far, consider liking and subscribing, and I will see you next time on Make It Mondays. Bye.